I'm going to introduce Dr. Chico. Dr. David Chico is a veterinarian with the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets and Burnt Hills Veterinary Hospital in Albany. He holds a BS in toxicology from the University of the Sciences in Philadelphia and a BMD veterinary medicine from the University of Pennsylvania and an MPH in epidemiology from SUNY Albany. He is chair of the Empire State Animal Response Team Steering Committee. Thank you so much for coming.
Can everyone hear me if I don't use a microphone? So thank you for having me tonight. I think of all the places I've gone around the state, this is probably one of the best turnouts that I've seen, so that's a great testament to your community involvement here in Ulster County. So I just want to give a little bit of the history about why this type of program has come about and why the government is involved. So why do we consider the needs of animals in disasters? First, and we'll talk a little bit about it, is that there's legislation that's been put forth at both the federal and the state level that mandates that people care for animals during disasters. We have cultural and ethical values around our animals. They're parts of our family. And in this day and age, people want the same services for their companion animals as they do for themselves. And that's the expectation of the American public at this point. It's a matter of life safety as well. So if we don't provide care for the animals in the disaster, then we're also going to endanger the health of the people in that disaster because they may stay behind and not evacuate, they may stay longer than they would have normally, and then the first responders that have to come in ultimately to help those people are now at greater risk. So it's very much a human health concern. And then we want to protect the health of our companion animal population. Am I blocking anyone's view up there? So we talked a little bit about animals being part of the family. So humans, in today's society, we have a very strong sense of responsibility to those animals that live with us. They're part of our family, they sleep in bed with us, they're dependent on us for food and water, and leaving them behind in harm's way is unthinkable for the majority of people that own companion animals. So it would be like saying, don't bring your kid. You can evacuate, but your kids have to stay behind. It's just not acceptable any longer. And so there's been several studies that have been performed that demonstrate why this is a significant issue. We know that pet-owning households are significantly less likely to evacuate out of harm's way when a mandatory evacuation order is given. The American Kennel Club did a survey. 62% of people surveyed that owned a dog would defy a mandatory evacuation order if they were not allowed to take their animal with them when they left. The other issue, not only did people refuse to leave if there's a mandatory evacuation order, they will often return back into that evacuation zone to care for the animals that they left behind, often before it's safe to do so. So 82% of individuals that returned to a disaster site did so to care for a companion animal that was left behind during a disaster. And our first responder community definitely recognizes that rescuing pets supports the life-saving capabilities of the citizens, and it minimizes the emotional trauma of the event. I think we all know how difficult it would be to have to leave your home in a disaster, but to be separated from your pet and your companion during that disaster just adds to the emotional trauma for people. So again, a picture from Katrina. We know that individuals ignore evacuation orders, put themselves in danger, and the first responders that are called to help them are also put into danger. That's why, from a government perspective, we recognize the importance of providing services for animals today, because we have learned important lessons from some of these large disasters that have occurred over the last 10 years. So before Hurricane Katrina happened, there were several large weather events, several large disasters. But what happened in responding to the animal needs during those situations, it was very chaotic. Lots of groups would come in and care for animals. There would not be coordination between the groups that came in to provide services and the government. The government at the state level didn't respond to the government at the federal level. And so it was very chaotic, very disjointed efforts that were produced. And there was a lot of turf fighting. So one group would come in and want to do everything and not share information with other groups. So what happened was that animals would be fostered out of the state, people would lose contact, they would never be reunited, people would be arguing about who had the right to go in and take animals out of an area. So it was not a very effective response model.